a panel discussion when we have leaders from the GCC ICF chapters. And just to start, I would like to introduce them. And of course, after this, Haytham would be giving us a short overview of what are the tools we have and where we can find them, and followed by a panel discussion. So I would like to introduce our panel. The panel discussion would be in English and Arabic, but the introductions I'm just going through in English for the sake of time. So we joined with Haytham Shaheen. He's a Senior Regional Development Manager, EMEA ICF Professional Coaches. I think we are very lucky, and he's been our strongest advocate for everything that we go to him for. Along with that, we have our own Dr. Salman Al-Fardan from ICF Bahrain Chapter, Director Membership. He's been a coach for the last 10 years, co-trainer in coaching programs, and currently working on team coaching programs. Along with him, we have Lina Al-Asad. She's currently the Vice President and Membership Director of the ICF UAE chapter. She's a certified executive coach, specialized in leadership and team coaching. Ms. Gaia Al-Barwani, Vice President, ICF Oman chapter, PCC. She has over 15 years in banking industry, and she partners with her clients over the last 8 years to maximize their abilities and their potential. Ms. Iman Argarbali, President, ICF Kuwait chapter. She divides her time between Kuwait, San Francisco, and Northern Colorado, serving her clients across the globe. She is recognized for her executive function training and coaching corporate professionals along with youth and children. Dr. Farah Radwan, PhD, ACC ICF Saudi Arabia chapter, Vice President. As an assistant professor, coaching has helped her to find a sense of fulfillment in inspiring people in making a difference in their lives. And last but not least, Noura Bukatif, Vice President of ICF Doha chapter. She considers herself as an eco-leader advocating for human ecology. Thank you all for being with us and adding charm to this particular panel. And I would like to hand over to Coach Fuad, President ICF Bahrain chapter, to say a few words. Coach Fuad, we cannot hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Now? You can hear me? Okay. Okay. So thank you, Coach Ashu. I would like to welcome you all, the panelists from the GCC, the dear leaders from the GCC chapters, and also I would like to welcome the ICF represented by Haytham Shaheen. Big support to all of the chapters and to us, the Senior Regional Development Manager, EMA. This event is crucial for us as it is crucial to all of the GCC and the other chapters. We would like to focus on ethics as an element of the golden standard of the ICF. حبيت بس أرحب فيكم قادة الفروع المنتدين من دول مجلس التعاون الخليجي، وأيضا جميع المشاركين، وأيضا أرحب بهيثم شاهين، هو خير داعم لنا في فرع البحرين ولجميع الفروع في المنطقة، في منطقة الميناء. احنا ركزنا على هذه الفعالية لأننا نعتبر بأن لائحة الأخلاقيات هي من أهم الأمور الداعمة إلى المعيار الذهبي للاتحاد. شكرا. أشو.
Sorry. Without any further ado, sorry with the mute today, seems to be a technical issue. Haytham, I would like to hand it over to you, and if you can give us a quick rundown about the tools and where we can find them for ethics on the website.
Thank you so much, Ashu, and I hope that you all can hear me. So I will try my
I cannot
best.
hear you.
You can hear me, right?
We can.
Thank you. Okay, so I would really appreciate, Ashu, if you give me times up when my time is over, so that I be respectful for the other panelists. So I will try to make my introduction as brief and direct as possible. I will do the first 5 minutes in English, and then I will translate that into Arabic. So one of the things that I would like to highlight is that ICF has very high regard and appreciation for the ethics. This is what makes us as coaches, members, volunteers, and leaders stand out as advocates of the professional coaching that we all do in all our walks of our life. And for that matter, we have so many resources on the ICF website that are useful for members, for chapter leaders, and for volunteers to check every now and then, so that they are more familiar with the ethical standards, they are more aware of where to get those ethical resources, and above all, in case they have an ethical dilemma or an ethical situation in their chapter, at their community, to go to those resources and make sure that they are accessible to them and demonstrate those practices there. So what I will be doing is I will be sharing my screen with you all, so that I will give you a quick tour of where to find these resources. The first screen I'm going to share with you, I hope you all can see it right now, is the homepage of the ICF. And if you find over here, you could find the link ethics at the very top bar. If you click on this ethics, it will take you to the ethics page. It is identified by this link. In this ethics page, you could have the ICF Code of Ethics, and you could have information and guidance about complaints against individuals, what we call the ethical conduct review process. And you could have information about the ethical conduct review process over here. Then if you want to file a complaint, filing a complaint is possible using this link over here. And if you have an ICF accredited training program in your region, and a case of violation or breach of the code of conduct of those training organizations is reported to the chapters, then you could download those two documents and file a process. There are also resources about the Independent Review Board and the Annual Ethical Conduct and Compliance Report. There are also ethics resources over here. There are frequently asked questions about ethics, the Code of Ethics overview, and everything related to the ethics, like the ethics community of practice and so on and so forth. One important thing I would like to draw your attention for our volunteers and members in the Arabic world, if you check the Code of Ethics on this page over here, the page will upload the Code of Ethics, the latest approved Code of Ethics of ICF. And if you scroll down till the end of the page, you would be able to find the latest Code of Ethics translated into Arabic. It is translated in these languages. You could click on the Arabic version, and then you could see the actual Code of Ethics translated into Arabic from this link. So I would just refer you to use this link at any time, accessible from the ICF homepage under ethics. And if at all you have any other questions, just email me whenever you have the opportunity to do that. I would switch to Arabic right now to address the same content in Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أنا بدي أتقدم أول شيء بالشكر الجزيل للشابتر البحريني لجهوده المتميزة في نشر الوعي بخصوص أخلاقيات مهنة الكوتشنج، وبخصوص زيادة الوعي بين المجتمعات العربية بخصوص معايير ومقاييس الأخلاقية للاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج. أحد الموارد والأدوات اللي إحنا بنوفرها سواء كان للأعضاء الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج أو القادة أو المتطوعين أو أي شخص له علاقة بالاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج، بإمكانهم اللجوء للصفحة الرئيسية للاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج الظاهرة أمامكم على الشاشة. وفي عندنا إذا بتلاحظوا في بداية الصفحة خانة للإثكس، الأخلاقيات. بمجرد النقر على الإثكس راح ينتقل الويب سايت للصفحة اللي قدامكم، من خلالها راح تشوفوا كافة الموارد وكافة الأدوات اللي بإمكان الأعضاء أو قادة الأفرع أو أعضاء مجلس الإدارة الاطلاع عليها. أحد الموارد أو الأدوات اللي إحنا بنوفرها للأعضاء للاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج هي آخر ترجمة وأحدث ترجمة لأخلاقيات مهنة الكوتشنج، موجودة باللغة العربية زي ما أنتم شايفين على الشاشة قدامكم. وبإمكانكم تحميل أو تنزيل، بإمكانكم تنزيل هذه اللائحة من خلال النقر على Download Now in PDF. إذا بتلاحظوا في عندنا كمان عدة مصادر أخرى أو أدوات لمساعدة الشابترز أو الفروع في التعرف على موارد للأخلاقيات، وهي زي ما هي ظاهرة أمامكم. في عندنا عدة مصادر، من أهمها إنه إذا في عندنا برنامج معتمد من الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج وفي مخالفة من قبل هذا البرنامج، فبإمكان أي شخص زيارة هذا الرابط على هذا الموقع وتحميل أو إرسال دعوة طلب للاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج اعتراض لرفع هذه الحالة. كمان في عندنا إذا في عندنا كوتش ممارس سواء معتمد أو فقط عضو، إذا في أي ملاحظة أو خرق لأخلاقيات المهنة بإمكان أي شخص النقر على الرابط الموجود قدامنا هون ويعبي الاستمارة، والاستمارة راح تروح للاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج لمتابعة الموضوع. في عندنا أيضا عدة موارد زي ما هي قدامكم الآن، بعض الموارد اللي هي بعض الجايد لاينز لأعضاء مجالس الإدارة كتشابتر بورد ممبرز. في عندنا أسئلة متكررة بخصوص الأخلاقيات. في عندنا إذا بدنا مساعدة سواء كان شخص عضو أو بورد ممبر، بإمكانه النقر على هاي الخانة هون ويلاقي معلومات لها علاقة بالإثكس والأخلاقيات. فمختصر اللي بدي أوصل لكم إياه إنه الرجاء في أقرب فرصة زيارة موقع الإثكس على الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج للاطلاع والتعرف على كافة المصادر والموارد والأدوات اللي يتم تحميلها باستمرار وتحديثها باستمرار لكافة الأعضاء أو أعضاء مجلس الإدارة أو أي متطوع حابب يستزيد من المعلومات لإثراء ثقافته الشخصية ولمنفعة الشابتر ولمنفعة الأعضاء في كل الأمور التي تتعلق بالكوتشنج، بأخلاقيات مهنة الكوتشنج. شكرا جزيلا لاستماعكم، وأعيد الكلام لأختي آشو. آشو, I am
Thank
done
you,
with my
Haitham.
part.
Well, in
Thank you so
time,
much.
I did not have to show you my thumbs up. You were well within your time. Thank you so much. And
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I think it really helps to know where the tools are. You know, most of the time we are trying to find where the information is, and it's generally there, but we don't know how to get to it. So I think that's very important to be highlighted. So thank you so much for that. Coming now to the highlight of this particular session, our panel discussion. So without further ado, I would start here. It would be in English and Arabic. I would be asking the questions in English. Coach Fuad will be translating it, and the panelists, I think most of them are going to be answering in English. If need be, if you need assistance, Coach Fuad is there to answer it in Arabic also for the people who might want to do it, might want to have the translation. So I would like to start with you, Dr. Salman. From your point of view, what do you think is the value of ethics in the practice of coaching?
من وجهة نظركم دكتور سلمان، ما هي قيمة وتأثير لائحة الأخلاقيات على ممارسة الكوتشنج؟
You are on mute, Dr. Salman.
Am I okay now? Okay. Thank you, Ashu. Thank you, Fahad. I would like to welcome everyone now on the panel and the people who joined us. And it is our privilege to have you all here with the Bahrain chapter. أرحب بكم جميعا المنتدين والحضور، وإحنا سعيدين بوجودكم في داخل فرع البحرين أو على منصة فرع البحرين. Okay. To go to the question, what is the value of ethics in coaching? I like the statement that, okay, don't take it easy, take it simple. When we look at coaching, there are two perspectives of coaching. One is doing coaching, that's practicing coaching, and the other one is conducting yourself within the coaching relationship. Can you see now the values started appearing? We have the competency to do with the doing, to uphold the integrity and the values of the ICF. We need something else. And that thing is ethic or code of ethics. Why it is of great value for us coaches during coaching? One, it gives confidence to our clients. And it also gives confidence to our coaches. They are in a safe place, both of them. Number two, if you look at the values from integrity to excellence, to calibration, to respect, they all work for the benefit of both parties. Not only that, when we concentrate on the relationship, we are not talking about the coaching process. We are talking about before the sessions and after the session or the relationship. Can you see that the code of ethics is covering more than what the competency is covering? So we are capturing everything to do with the relationship through the code of ethics, upholding all the values of the ICF. I am going to go Arabic because I don't know how many minutes I'm allowed to speak, but
2
I assume
minutes.
that's, yeah, I assume that's enough. شكرا جزيلا. أنا عادة أخذ الموضوع مو بالسهل بس بطريقة مبسطة، فأنظر إلى الكوتشنج، علاقة الكوتشنج من جانبين، فيها الفعل ممارسة الكوتشنج واللي الجدارات تهتم فيها. إن الشخص اللي يكون ICF كوتش لازم عنده الجدارات الكافية ليعمل ككوتش. بس الأهم الجزء الثاني، شلون هذا الكوتش موجود في داخل علاقة الكوتشنج. The being، شنو هو كإنسان وككوتش في داخل علاقة الكوتشنج. هذا ما يكون له علاقة بس بممارسة الكوتشنج في داخل السيشن، ما قبل السيشن وما بعد السيشن. فالكود اوف إيثيك تدعم قيم الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج، النزاهة، التميز، التعاون والاحترام، ليس فقط في داخل الجلسة، فيما قبل العلاقة وما بعد العلاقة. وهذه أهمية وقيمة الإثكس أو الأخلاقيات إلى الكوتشنج، لأن ترفع ثقة الكوتش وترفع ثقة المستفيد في الكوتش وفي الكوتشنج. الأمر الآخر، يكون الكوتش واعي لكل القيم الموجودة أثناء عمله من خلال الجدارات اللي وضعتها ال ICF في داخل الكوتشنج.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Salman. That brings me to my next question to Ms. Noura. So when do I call myself a coach? When I become a member of ICF? Have I completed a training or I've got an accreditation? When do I call myself a coach?
متى من الممكن أن أعلن أنني كوتش؟ هل هو في حالة أنني عضو في الاتحاد، أو عندما أنتهي من تدريب الكوتشنج المعتمد من قبل الاتحاد، أو لأنني حاصل على الاعتمادية؟
أولاً باش نتكلم بالإنجليزية ومن بعد بالعربية. It's a first a great honor for me to participate in this panel and to be part of this virtual discussion on ICF ethics, practices, and experiences. In my capacity of Vice President Doha ICF Chapter, I would like to express my deep appreciation to the whole team of ICF Bahrain Chapter for organizing and hosting this event. والتشرف لي شرف عظيم لي أن أشارك في هذه الجلسة وأكون فرداً من هذه الندوة عبر الفضاء الإلكتروني في ممارسات وتجارب حول الأخلاقيات الكوتشين. وأود أن أعبر عن تقديري وامتناني لكامل فريق ICF فرع بحرين لتنظيم استضافتي بصفتي نائب رئيس فرع ICF دوحة. للجواب على هذا السؤال، لذلك علينا أن نلقي نظرة على مدونات الأخلاق والتعريفات. تتألف لائحة أخلاقية مهنة الكوتشينج حسب الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشينج من أجزاء رئيسية، من القيم الأساسية والمبادئ، المعايير، السلوك، الأخلاق للاتحاد الدولي للكوتشينج، المعايير الأخلاقية، التعهد، والتعريفات الرئيسية. من التعريفات الرئيسية ما هو المستفيد، ما هو الكوتشينج، ما هي علاقة الكوتشينج، اللائحة الأخلاقية، ما هي السرية، ما هم تضارب المصالح، المساواة، وما هو محترف في الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشينج. هما أفراد أعضاء للاتحاد الدولي للكوتشينج أو للكوتش الحاصلين على أي من درجات الاعتمادية من الاتحاد، ويؤدون أدوار تشمل على سبيل المثال دور الكوتش أو المرشد، كوتش أو مشرف كوتش، أو مدرباً على الكوتشينج، أو كوتش مدرب. يعني فيه التزامات لكل نوعية الكوتش. وهنا فيه مسؤولية الاحترافية. بصفة كوتش محترف في الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشينج، فإننا ملزمين بدقة مؤهلاتنا ومستوى كفاءاتنا واختباراتنا والتدريب والشهادة الخاصة بالكوتشينج، بما في ذلك المستوى درجة الاعتماد الحاصل إليها من الاتحاد. وهنا ملتزمين أن نقدم بالتصريحات الدقيقة وواقعية، يعني نوضح فيها من خلالها ما أقدمه كمحترف من الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشينج، وما هي مهنة الكوتشينج التي أقدمها، والقيم الكامنة المتوخاة للكوتشينج. ويؤكد الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشينج إذا لم يعد أحد المؤهلات السابقة المتعلقة بالتدريب صالحة، فيجب على محترف ICF إسقاط هذا الوصف. يعني ملزومين بالرجوع إلى الدليل للالتزام بالتعيينات التي تحمل ما يسمى بالدرجات الاعتمادية، البادجز للاتحاد الدولي للكوتشينج. وهنا فيها ارتباك ملحوظ فيما بين الكلمتين الاعتماد والشهادة، تستخدمان أحيانا بالتبادل. والبيانات والدرجات الاعتمادية معروفة، وسيد هيثم يعني على الويب سايت للاتحاد الدولي في الكوتشينج نستطيع النظر إليها، وهم الأسوسيت سيرتيفايد كوتش ACC والبروفيشنال سيرتيفايد كوتش PCC والماستر سيرتيفايد كوتش MCC، في الكوتش ترينر والكوتش منتور أسيسور. وكل من التدريجات فيه تصريح يعني وتعريف من ICF أنه أكمل برنامجاً تدريباً شاملاً من البداية إلى الآخر. In English, in a nutshell, in the code of, the code of ethics, there is key definition, and there is a very simple definition of what is an ICF professional as individuals who represent themselves as an ICF member on ICF credential holders in roles including, but not limited to, coach, coach supervisor, mentor coach, coach trainer, and student coach. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That brings me to another question, and I'll address it to Ms. Iman. So what happens now? You know, we've decided that I'm a coach and everything. So what happens if my client is not taking responsibility and he's not going through what he has promised? So what happens in such a relationship?
سؤال بالعربي إيمان، ما هو التصرف الصحيح في حالة أولاً الزبون لا يحقق تقدم ولا يتحمل مسؤولية، ثانياً الزبون يرفض تحويله إلى العلاج النفسي أو البحث عن مساعدة من متخصص في مجال آخر، أو الزبون أنجز الأهداف الأولية لعلاقة الكوتشنج ولا يرغب في إنهاء الاتفاقية.
Thank you. Let me just check, is it everybody can hear me okay? Awesome. All right. Ashu, for your knowledge, Coach Fuad put all three questions all at the same time. So I will address them all at the same time, and hopefully you can give me timing. So first, let me say to the first question, which was clients not progressing and not taking responsibility at all. First of all, we all know that there is no one size fits all. Each client has their own inner emotional and environmental influences affecting their progress. So here is where the good coaching skills play a vital role. ICF puts great emphasis on the coaching agreement, and the client has agreed to certain clauses where they are held liable for their progress and actions towards accomplishing that progress. And a good reflective session to revisit with your client the contractual agreement and ask the client what in their point of view is preventing them from adhering to this responsibility. Perhaps there are obstacles not shared in previous sessions that are debilitating the client from achieving their goals. So it's a good opportunity to revisit, number one, the coaching agreement between the two, and have the coachee, the client, reflect personally. Perhaps there are things that has not been discussed in previous coaching sessions preventing them from achieving this responsibility and to make the progress necessary. In any case, it's always healthy for both of them jointly to do that. The second question was the clients refusing to go to therapy or seek specialized help. Again, as per the coaching agreement, ICF clearly emphasizes in the event that the client may do harm to themselves or someone else, we're obligated to report that issue. However, if it's not something of that nature, but they do need therapy or psychological assistance and not a coach, as we all know, coaches are not therapists, coaches are not psychologists, they're not doctors. And in the event that this is necessary, again, a good opportunity to sit with the client and revisit the coaching agreement. All ICF contractual agreements have a certain clause that reflect this particular aspect. It's a good coaching practice to have a network of therapists and psychologists. Of course, each coach has a mentor. So before you have that session, if you're not confident, it's a good idea to seek assistance from your mentor or a therapist and psychologist without, let me emphasize, without exposing client confidentiality. So without exposing the client's personal details. The third question was, the client has achieved the objective of the coaching relationship and does not want to terminate the agreement. So as stated before, this is always looked at within the type of contractual agreement you have with your client. Me personally, I don't have a goal type clause with my coaching agreements. A lot of my coachees, my clients are parents, so I'm a parenting coach. I'm a youth ADHD coach. So my contractual agreements are time-based and they're not final outcome or solution oriented. So if the objective of the coaching relationship has been met according to your particular contract and the coachee does not want to end the agreement, again, intermittently revisit your coaching agreement, reflect on the aspects that the progress that has been made, what discoveries that have been made throughout the coach-client relationship, and having a periodic revisit of that is very, very healthy. So that is my 2 cents worth.
Thank you. Coach Fuad, I think if you could translate that.
Okay, in another سامح. اوكي هي 3 أسئلة ردود إيمان مرتبطة، هو مراجعة الاتفاقية وبشكل دوري، و الرسالة الرئيسية من إيمان إن اللي هو ما في حل إلى كل الحالات، ممكن تناقش كل حالة لوحدها، لكن المشتركات هو أن يكون الرجوع دائما إلى العقد أو الاتفاقية، والعقد والاتفاقية تكون واضحة. وأيضا ذكرت بالنسبة للسؤال الثاني أن يكون دائما الكوتش عنده شبكة من يعني المتخصصين في العلاج النفسي، وممكن يكون في نوع من النصح من غير إفشاء أو السرية للمستفيد. وبالنسبة لإنهاء العقد إذا كان يعني تحققت الأهداف مثلا أو لم تتحقق، إيمان ذكرت أن هي دائما تكون الاتفاقيات عندها مرتبطة بفترة زمنية سواء تحققت النتيجة أم لا من وجهة نظر المستفيد. شكرا.
Thank you, Coach. So now that brings me to Ms. Gaia. Ms. Gaia, and you know, we've been hearing about the contract. So what happens if I have, you know, if I'm doing pro bono coaching, do I have to have an agreement with them? And what about if somebody's missing the appointments or they want me to return money for the sessions that are not covered?
غاية بالعربي، ما هي أهمية الاتفاقية أو التعاقد؟ هل يجب أن أبرم اتفاقية للجلسات اللي هي البروبونو المجانية مع المستفيد؟ وماذا عن مواعيد الجلسات التي لا تتم، أو بالنسبة لموضوع استرجاع تكلفة الجلسات التي لا يتم تقديمها من قبل الكوتش؟
Thanks to ICF بحرين. شكرا للفرع المحلي في البحرين للاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج. On the agreement, whether you're having a pro bono coaching agreement or you're having a paid coaching agreement or a tri-party agreement, whatever the case may be, you need an agreement because the agreement covers a lot more than just finances. It covers who's responsible for what, and what the expectations that are there in the relationship that is being built. So that's the first thing. فبالنسبة للاتفاقية، الاتفاقية يجب أن يكون عندنا اتفاقية حتى وإن كانت مجانية، العلاقة مجانية، لأنه الاتفاقية تغطي أشياء أكثر من المادة، ألا وهي إيش مسؤوليات المستفيد، إيش مسؤوليات الكفيل إذا كان هناك كفيل للعلاقة، إيش مسؤوليات الكوتش. That's my 2 cents worth, and that's what I would say about the agreement.
And I think
Now,
yeah, please, sorry.
Okay, now if we're talking about the second part of the question, which is basically what if the person is missing out on their sessions? That goes back to what kind of agreement did you have with the client? Did you specify how you're going to take care of that? If it is specified, then you can take care of that as well. Then you can do it. I mean, there are certain agreements where what you're doing is, because it's a long-term contract, you're giving a better rate, for example, for the client. And what happens is that they decide that they want to leave for whatever reason. Now, if you've specified that you're going to go back on a pro rata basis, then that's well and good. If not, then better discuss it so that your reputation at the end of the day, in the long run, is preserved. I mean, even if it needs to, if you can take some administrative fees and give them back their amount of money that's there. So as much as possible, cover that in the agreement. And if it's not, then you're going to have to give it back to them. You don't have to, but it's better to give it to them just for your own personal reputation in the market as well, and your credibility. في موضوع إذا العميل قرر أو المستفيد قرر إنه ما يتمم العلاقة، أو إنه حضر بعض الجلسات ولم يحضر أخرى. إذا كانت مدونة في الاتفاقية، مثلا أنا في الاتفاقيات اللي عندي أقولهم إذا تم إلغاء الموعد قبلها ب 24 ساعة، قبل بأكثر من 24 ساعة من الموعد، يسترجع المبلغ أو بعطيهم جلسة بدل عنها. ولكن إن لم يكن عندي هذا البند، أو مثلا دفع العميل ل10 جلسات وأخذ 6 ويبغى الفارق، فهنا على حسب الاتفاقية is there a pro rata basis؟ هل هناك مبلغ أو مبلغ مستحق اتفقنا عليه أم لا؟ إن لم يكن هناك اتفاقية، فمن الأرجح لسمعتي أنا الشخصية إني أدور لي على حل إني أرجع له المبلغ، علشان سمعتي أنا الشخصية ككوتش في السوق. That's question number 2. I hope I've covered it all.
Yes,
forgive me,
yes.
can you repeat question 3?
It was about,
That's
you know,
about
if he has missed sessions, or he wants us to return the money for the sessions not covered. So yeah, you did.
Which I've covered in that
Yes, you
part.
did. Yes,
Is there
you
any
did.
other thing that I've missed out on, dear Ashu?
No, definitely not. You've covered everything. So that
Thank you
brings
very
me,
much. Okay.
so that brings me to Dr. Farah. You know, we've talked about contracting and everything. May I mention companies on my website?
السؤال بالعربي: هل بالإمكان نشر أسماء المؤسسات التي تم خدمتها على موقعي الإلكتروني؟
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be a part of this valuable event. I'm really honored to be here. So in terms of companies, this has to do with the maintaining the confidentiality that all parties have agreed upon in the coaching agreement and in the coaching contract. So if it's specifically specified that a coach can use the company name or mention the company name or logo on their website, and they're in a specific language, then that should be fine. However, if that's not the case, a consent or permission from the company must be obtained, because we have to be adhering by the laws that pertain to this issue. In addition, that could get a little bit complex and get into the copyright issue as well. So in Arabic, it's يعتمد على نوع العقد الكوتشنج الموجود بين الجهات المسؤولة أو الجهات، معلش المفردات العربية الرسمية مش كتير قوية فيها، ولكن بيعتمد على عقد الكوتشنج اللي تم الموافقة عليه. فإذا كان هناك نص بكل يعني واضح وصريح بالموافقة على مشاركة اسم الشركة التي تم خدمتها أو اللوجو الشعار تبعها على الويب سايت تبع الكوتش، إذن ما في أي إشكالية. أما إذا لم يكن هناك يعني نص صريح في الكوتشنج أجريمنت أو في العقد، فلا بد من الحصول على موافقة الشركة حتى لتفادي أي إشكاليات في القوانين والالتزام في القوانين اللي لها علاقة بهذا الموضوع. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that brings my question to Lena. Now, we were talking about confidentiality. So what happens if I'm sharing information or about a case that I'm talking in a coaches forum or in a group, social media? So how do I, make sure of the confidentiality?
Thank you, Ashu. تفضل دكتور.
لينا بالعربي، ما هي كيفية أو آلية نشر المعلومات حول الزبائن أو المستفيدين أو المجموعات التي قدمت خدمات الكوتشنج إليهم، وذلك على شبكات التواصل الاجتماعي.
Thank you, Coach Fuad, and thank you, Ashu and the Bahrain chapter for this initiative. I think ethics is one of the most important topic in our practice to keep the standards. So as we already spoke about contract, in every contract, the ICF contract, the coaching relationship is built on trust and openness for a relationship to happen. And this, for the trust to happen, the coachee needs to feel comfortable that the information he or she is sharing is in safe hands and cannot be shared with others without their consent. So a lot of times coaches are part of different programs or different groups, especially on social media nowadays, the different Facebook groups, and they want to discuss the issue pertaining to a client for the sake of learning, for the sake of debating the case. And they may do that as long as definitely they don't mention the name of the client, the company, and even they don't give any information that might lead to this conclusion. Meaning, if I'm saying, oh yeah, by the way, I'm coaching a VP of, I don't know, the phone company or telecommunication company, and we have two in our countries, this can lead to deducing that, well, it could be this or that. It's not that hard to, so we cannot give that piece of information. We need to be very careful about what we share for the sake of learning and knowledge, rather than for the sake of exposing any of our client and breaching a very important part of the ICF contract, which is the confidentiality. So that's in a nutshell. Yeah.
So,
بالعربي? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll support.
مثل ما بدكم. بالعربي علاقة الكوتشنج هي مبنية على الثقة، والثقة لتكون موجودة بده يكون في سرية، وهالسرية تكون واضحة بالممارسة مش بس على الورق. أولاً على العقد مفروض تكون واضحة. الكوتش مش ممكن يحكي عن يذكر اسم المستفيد أو يذكر الشركة اللي عم بيتعاقد معها يعني. ولما بيكون بده يحط أي بوست على السوشيال ميديا على أي جروب هو موجود فيه، بغيت إنه استشارة يعني عن الموضوع، يكون متنبه كتير إنه المعلومات اللي عم بيوضعها على السوشيال ميديا ما تأدي بطريقة غير مباشرة لأنه يكون اسم المستفيد أو شخصية هالمستفيد تكون مبينة للعلن، لأنه بيكون عم يكسر أهم بند من البنود يلي الأساسية لعلاقة الكوتشنج بين الكوتش والمستفيد. إذا بتحب تزيد شيء دكتور فؤاد، أنا نسيت أتفضل.
كفيتي ووفيتي.
Thank you. So I want to ask Dr. Salman, what happens in this scenario if a non-ICF member uses the ICF logo on the marketing material?
ما هي الحالة بالنسبة لاستخدام دكتور شعار الاتحاد من قبل شخص ليس عضوا في الاتحاد؟
Thank you, Ashu, for the question, and Fuad. The question has got the answer. If he is not an ICF member, he can't use the logo. That is a breach. That's ethical breach. Probably the question is, what can I do as a person, as a responsible person of the ICF, being an ICF coach or an ICF staff or an ICF leader in this case? The process is being practiced for a long time that we go step by step. The first step, if you are a responsible person and you see that it doesn't really rock the boat, speaking to him, okay, speak to him on the private. Probably he doesn't know exactly that this is a breach. I mean, they are doing it with other logos and no one is stopping them, so they are using the ICF. If the guy has shown positive response, that's the end of it. He's going to remove the logo. You don't have to panic about it. If not, report it to a higher place. I would say, for example, in Bahrain, you go to the chapter and you tell them, I noticed so-and-so, so-and-so, and the chapter has to take care of that. And I assure you, in Bahrain, we've got two who are really working hard on this issue. Ashu is one of them, and Fuad. They work together to really defuse these cases. But if the situation is not getting sorted out, report it to the ICF. And we've got Haytham here, and Haytham can take it straight away, or report it using the individual review form or complaint form, whatever it is there, and the situation would be sorted out. Okay, in Arabic. الجواب يحمل السؤال يحمل جوابه إن إذا الشخص غير ICF واستخدم اللوجو مال ICF، هذا تعدي أخلاقي أو تعدي قانوني واضح. المسألة شلون أتصرف أنا ككوتش مسؤول في حالة هاي الأشياء اللي تحدث. أنا ككوتش ICF كوتش عندي مسؤولية أخلاقية وموجودة في الكود اوف إثكس. هذا البند موجود. إذا أنا شاهدت البريتش هذه من مسؤوليتي أن أتصرف. فعادة يسوونه في 3 خطوات. الخطوة الأولى نتكلم ويا الشخص بدون زوبعة، بدون عمل زوبعة اجتماعية تخلق تنافر وتسوي مشاكل. إذا استجاب الشخص خلاص انتهى الموضوع. شكرا جزيلا. تكتشف ان هذا الشخص مسؤول في الحقيقه وتعطيه كل الاحترام. اذا ما استجاب انقله اللي اعلى، انقله الى الشابتر. وانا كنت استشهد بالبحرين شابتر، اشوف فؤاد دائما في موجودين ممكن يساعدونا. واذا لا الشابتر ما قدر يحل الموضوع، ياما من خلال استمارات الشكاوي أو من خلال المراجعات الفردية اللي يسويها ICF، أو انقلها إلى الريجن هيثم موجود يستجيب لك، دائما يستجيب لكل طلباتنا مشكورا. أشو.
I think I would like to add Samira's name to that list. You know, she's been also very proactive and very, I think, her reach out to make sure things are being done as per the ethical standards. She's been a major support. So, I mean, I would be remiss if I did not add her name to that list.
Good.
Yes, please, Haitham.
I agree.
Thank you, Ashu. Thank you, Dr. Salman. I just would like to mention one important thing. With the ICF launching 6 family organizations early this year, there are a set of logos that are assigned for each family organization. So one thing you need to keep in mind, you need to be aware if that individual is using the ICF professional coaches team logo or the training organizations logo, and educate them. Sometimes with the many logos that we are having right now, there might be some confusion in the marketplace as which logos to use for which purposes. Our role as ICF and the expectation from chapters is to educate and raise awareness. We cannot always assume that the violation is intentional. So pay attention to the logo. Is it a training organization logo, ACTP, ACSTH? Is it a credentialing badge? Is it a membership badge? And educate the individual about this case. And in the worst case scenario, if push comes to shove, then you could always bring it to my attention or write an email to ethics@coachingfederation.org presenting all details of the case, providing evidence of the breach that has happened and all efforts done by the chapter to increase the awareness of that individual. أخي فؤاد ممكن أترجم عنك بالعربي؟
ريحني يا هيثم.
باختصار شديد، مع إطلاق الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج عدة مؤسسات أو عدة دوائر تعنى بأمور الكوتشنج، سواء كانت للكوتشز أو كانت للمعاهد التدريب المعتمدة أو للاعتمادية والمقاييس. هناك كم هائل من الشعارات اللي الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج اعتمدها لكل دائرة. فواجب الشابتر، واجبي أنا بالتعاون معكم إنه إحنا ننشر الوعي ونقدم النصيحة المفيدة للأشخاص الذي قد يسيئوا استعمال هذه الشعارات دون علم. واجبنا وواجبكم ليس القاضي وإنما الناصح الأمين. في حال تعذر أو عدم إمكانية الالتزام بما يتم توجيهه من نصائح ومشورات لهذه الفئة من الأشخاص أو المؤسسات، رجاء تواصلوا معي شخصيا أو ارسلوا بريد إلكتروني ل ethics@coachingfederation.org مدعمين الإيميل بكافة المعلومات والتفاصيل والوثائق التي تدعم الخرق المحتمل الذي تم. شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you so much, Haitham. I think, Noura, you would be very happy. I was going to ask you the same question about organizations using the ICF logo.
I'm happy to answer. I'm happy, absolutely. And I second any word Haitham said. We are not the judge and we are mediators, and بدون زوبعات, as Dr. Salman said, we are here to mediate and not to assume that it is intentional. So first, we take our responsibility of raising the issue of the breach, and then if it's not settled, it's not done, we can raise it in another way with evidence and with and absolutely. And to answer to the question, yes, ICF we use any connection with any other form of publication or documentation shall be permitted only upon written authorization and approval from the CEO of the ICF. So any unauthorized and unapproved use, anyone, no one, I mean, you can use or alterate the ACTP name or acronym or designation of the logo or mark shall result in an immediate termination or loss of the training program's ICF. So it's clear, it's pretty clear from ICF.
بس مختصر، أنا ما راح أخذ وقت. Just in short أشو اللي ذكرته نورة يعني يثني على ما ذكر هيثم ودكتور سلمان، ان البدايه ان نعتبر ان ما توجد نيه سيئه او هو هذا العمل هو غير مقصود تواصل، ولكن في معايير وتم ويعني في قنوات للتواصل مع الاتحاد وفي خطوات، سواء كان هذا الخرق يتعلق بشعارات الاعتمادية أو غيرها من الشعارات اللي تخص هوية الاتحاد. شكرا.
Thank you so much, Coach Fuad. We're keeping in a track on the time. I think we would have time for another maybe 2 questions. So with further ado, Iman, if I'm an internal coach, can I coach someone who I evaluate their performance?
أنا مدير في مؤسسة، هل ممكن أن أكون كوتش لموظف في نفس المؤسسة وأنا لدي مشاركة في تقييم الأداء لهذا الموظف؟
Okay, thank you, Coach Fuad and Ashu. I've served as a coach at Kuwait Petroleum Corporation, and this is our role as coaches to, again, as Coach Salman and Coach Haytham had highlighted, we educate our environment, we educate our society, and we educate our sponsors. So if you are in a corporation or in a company and you are a coach, however, you are asked to coach somebody that you are directly responsible for their performance or grading their performance, this is the opportunity to come and state, since we are all human beings, and yes, we all have high code of ethics, hopefully, this is an opportunity to come and say there is a difference between being a coach and being a mentor, or being or taking somebody under your wing to guide them and whatnot. So there should be a demarcation line, and that's the school that I have graduated from. There should be a demarcation line where if you have a say in performance or influencing their performance or grading their performance, you have to take a step back and educate your sponsor and say that you may be a mentor, you may be a trainer, but not the actual coach. Because when you look at the coaching relationship, and we covered this with all of our colleagues on this panel, when we look at the sacred coaching relationship, the number one is to feel confident, at peace, and have a collaboration and mostly a listening, and not to have a direct say on how to do things and how to not do things. So I've spoken a lot, but I have to say, in my opinion, and the school that I graduated from, it's to say no, it's to switch the role and be a mentor or a trainer, but not an actual coach in the way that we understand what coaching is.
شكرا.
Sorry, Coach Fuad, I just want to add, there was a comment, what if the coaching is
Yes.
not related to work? There's somebody put in the chat box. Iman, addressed to you. So what if the coaching is not related to work?
Then if it's not related to work, then you don't have a say in their performance. So if, again, we are human beings, I have to emphasize, we are all human beings. And as much as we all think that we can put our feelings aside, or we can be professional or whatnot, you are influenced. If you come to the word judgment comes when you have, the question was, if you have a say in their performance evaluation. Sure. So if you have a say in your performance evaluation, it's the same as, let's say, a teacher grading their own kid. or their nephew or their niece, there is going to be some emotions involved. If you, within your coaching sessions, yeah, you might think that you can be professional about it, but we are human beings. And so to avoid all of that human emotional aspect web, you should avoid being, if you have a say in their performance evaluation, you should avoid being in that sticky situation, because you are putting yourself in a very sticky situation. Be a mentor, be a trainer, be a guide, but not a coach.
Thank you.
الملخص بالنسبة لرد إيمان إن يعني وتشير هي إلى المدرسة اللي تخرجت منها في الكوتشنج، إنه هو لازم يكون في خط فاصل بالنسبة ل يعني اشتراكنا مع المستفيد في مجال الكوتشنج نفسه. فإذا كان مثلا في مؤسسة أنا أشترك بالرأي في تقييم الأداء، ففي هذه الحالة الخط الفاصل وحسب المدرسة اللي ذكرتها إيمان أنه لابد أن يكون في نوع من الحوار والتثقيف إلى الطرف الآخر، سواء كان من هو في المؤسسة أو غيره نفس المستفيد، ويكون في نوع من التنسيق والحوار، وأن أتنحى ككوتش وأكون منتور أم مدرب أم غيره من الأدوار، وإلا أكون، وذكرت أن عندما أكون أنا مشترك مع المستفيد في مجال معين، نحن بشر ممكن أن تتحرك مع مشاعرنا أو إذا كانت في صلة قرابة أو غيره. شكرا.
يعني هم just يعني نتخلص من positions احنا بغنى عنها so to speak. يعني لا نحط نفسنا بموقف ممكن يكون حرج.
ممتاز.
Thank you. I know we are very stressed for time, but I will try and ask a couple of more questions before we sort of wind up. So this is addressed to you, Gaia. Now, you know, there's been a lot of being said about team coaching and group coaching. So, I mean, how do we navigate that, especially if there are going to be sidebar discussions and you have a challenging participant? So how do you deal with that? I know it's a big topic, but just if you can give me something in the nutshell.
بالنسبة لمعضلة غاية معضلة الأخلاقيات في الكوتشنج حول بما يختص بالفرق أو المجموعات، في مقابل الكوتشنج لقائد الفريق، كيف يمكن أن نبحر في هذه المعضلة وأثناء التعامل مع المناقشات الجانبية والتحدي الذي نواجهه مع بعض المشاركين. شكرا.
First things first, when it comes to team and group coaching, it makes it easier in the same way when you're dealing with individuals, is explaining your role and their role. That's the first thing. So having a set of ground rules, like they're going to be confidential, all going to be respectful, and then have them participate and agree. And then once the ground rules are established, when the relationship starts, my personal practice is I have one member of the team volunteer at the beginning of every session, every group session or team session, to read those rules that we agreed upon. So when it comes to, if they want to talk to me outside the group or outside the team, we will have that discussion at the contracting stage to make sure that we get it clear. The only time personally I allow them to come to me if there is a breach of confidentiality. That has to come to me directly at the beginning so that it can get addressed without necessarily getting into the conflicts internally. So they will come and tell me, I believe that my information was shared or whatever, and then we can address it there and then with the group or the team. So generally speaking, but if an occasion happens that was not discussed at the beginning of the contracting, then I believe that you need to address it with the team or the group as well and ask, how do you want us to handle it? Be as open as possible with the people that are there. Okay. خليني ألخصها باللغة العربية. لما أشتغل مع فريق عمل أو أشتغل مع مجموعة للكوتشنج بنفس الطريقة اللي أشتغل على توعية العميل أو المستفيد كفرد، أشتغل على توعية المجموعة ككل. ومنها نتكلم عن القواعد اللي إحنا بنشتغل عليها في وقت الاتفاقية. إيش القواعد؟ فالسرية، الخصوصية، واحترام بعضنا البعض، وكيفية الحديث مع بعضنا البعض علشان في خلالها. وعادة نكتب هذه القواعد، وأنا شخصياً أطلب من المجموعة أو من الفريق إنهم يقرأوا، أطلب من أي واحد فيهم إنه يقرأ هذه القواعد في بداية الجلسة علشان نذكر أنفسنا بهذه القواعد اللي إحنا قلنا إننا بنتفق عليها. فأطلب منهم هل أنتم موافقين نعم أم لا، إيش اللي أنتم ما موافقين عليه، وكيف بنعرف إنه هذا. فإذا صار خرق، الوقت الوحيد اللي أنا أطلب من المستفيد، أي من أعضاء المستفيدين في المجموعة، إنهم يجوا لي على طول إذا هناك خرق في الخصوصية اللي موجودة في المجموعة، فعلشان نقدر إننا نحل المسألة في نفس الوقت. وإلا عادة إذا في شيء آخر، يعني مثلا ما اتفقنا عليه من البداية، أرجع مرة ثانية للمجموعة أو للفريق وأسألهم إيش رأيكم، كيف ممكن، من غير ذكر أسماء أو إيش اللي صار، كيف ممكن إننا نتخطى هذا الموقف اللي إحنا واصلين فيه. لأنه مهما كان المستفيد، مهما كان، سواء كان فرد أو مجموعة، هو مستفيد. What I just said right now is that our client, whether it's an individual or a group or a team, they're still a unit. So when we go back to them with a new case that we had not agreed upon at the beginning, then you're empowering them to take things forward as well, even after you're gone as a coach. I hope I've answered your question.
شكرا.
So could I request, and I know I want to beg your indulgence, if you could extend the webinar for another 10 minutes to give the audience, I have a couple of questions, and just give them like 10 minutes to ask you Q&A. If everybody's okay, can we continue for another 10 minutes over the time that we've agreed? Oh, great. So, we talked about team coaching, and one of the, when you have team coaching, Dr. Farah, is the tri-party agreement, because, you might be recruited by the organization or the parents. So what do we do in case if they ask us for the progress, especially the youth?
دكتور فرح، بالنسبة لمعضلة الأخلاقيات التي تتعلق بالاتفاقيات الثلاثية أو بين ثلاثة أطراف، والتي يواجهها الكوتش داخل المؤسسات أو الذين توظفهم بعض الشركات أو من قبل أولياء الأمور.
Okay, so this has to do with the clear understanding of how the information is to be exchanged between all the parties involved. And so during the duration of the coaching interaction. So that must be clarified in the coaching agreement in terms of levels of confidentiality. So we can assign, I saw this before and I thought it was really helpful, where it says, for example, number 1, this is the level of confidentiality and explains what it is. And number 2, this is what the information that you can exchange. And then number 3, that's what it is. So having that clear in the coaching agreement, with everybody involved agreeing to it and understanding, like having a clear understanding about it, is a key. However, if this was not clearly specified, the consent of the client must be taken in order for this information to be exchanged between the different parties. So in Arabic, كله يعتمد على كيفية تبادل المعلومات أو تناقل المعلومات بين الجهات المعنية بالكوتشنج. فإذا كان ممكن الواحد يعمل مستويات للconfidentiality، بحيث أنه يعبر عن كل مستوى ما هي المعلومات اللي ممكن تبادلها مع الأشخاص معنيين، ممكن الكفيل أو ممكن يكون الأهل وما إلى ذلك، خصوصاً في إذا كان العميل أو المستفيد يعني صغير في السن أو قاصر ممكن. فبالتالي لازم يكون كتير واضح في الاتفاقية. إذا لم يكن واضح في الاتفاقية فلا بد من أخذ الموافقة من المستفيد على إعطاء هذه المعلومات وتبادلها. Thank you.
I think it would be hard to get the kids' consent to share information with their parents.
Yeah.
I'm sure my kids would never tell things. No, you can't share anything with your mother.
It may be about the progress at least, you know, so yeah, maybe be nice to the kids before the coaching.
Before we start the coaching. We won't need the coaching if that was the case. So Lena, bringing us to nearly the last question. So if we are in corporate, corporate conditions, where does our role, as a coach, I draw a line, where do I give them tools like roadmaps, advice-based solutions? So where do I draw the line?
عندما يوفر المستفيد أو المستفيدين أدوات مثل خرائط للطريق أو استشارات لحلول تتعلق بتقديم النصائح، وبالخصوص في الشركات الكبرى، كيف يمكن لي ككوتش أن أضع خطاً فاصلاً؟
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, as some coaches might argue that coaching in corporate is different, or coaching in certain cultures is different, and well, the client will not hire me because they want solutions. And I would refer back to, honestly, the very basic definition of coaching as per ICF, which is partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. And this means we are inspiring client and helping them think and helping them create, it's a creative process, their own solutions. So when we start giving our own solution, we step out of our role as coaches, and we deprive the client. They may agree with our solution and they may find it easy to grab it, but we're not creating this shift that will help them change their behavior. And this is the essence of coaching. Otherwise I would go to a training and learn this, or they would go to Google, they go to so many webinars. And so when we want to hold the client resourceful and whole and believe in them, then believe they are capable, and believe that we are not better, we are partners. So we and them are there because they know their solutions and we are supporting them in finding them. And this is the essence of relationship, the coaching relationship. So I would go back and say it's in the contracting. Whenever we're doing contracting, it's not just about what's the fee, how many sessions. It's more of what is coaching and what is not coaching. What can they expect out of my role as a coach? What is their role as a client? So what is their responsibility? And where do I stop being a coach? If I need to be giving them a tool at the end of the session after I've helped them think, because in certain times I need to give a tool or I want to give a tool, after we've had the commitment and we finish the session, I would clearly say, now I am stepping out of my coaching role and I am going to give you that tool. That's not part of coaching, or I would refer you to this kind of tool and you go and do it. So we can take off the coaching hat and be clear. As long as we're clear in this relationship to the coach, then we're still in the proper practice.
العربي ولا؟
تفضل.
In a nutshell.
In a
nutshell.
From the Arabic. اللي ذكرتها لينا ان يعني من المهم ان تحتوي الاتفاقيه على كل الجوانب، وليس فقط الجوانب الاداريه مثل السعر وغيره والفتره، ولكن ما هو كوتشنج وما هو غير كوتشنج، وهل ممكن ان يكون في اجزاء من غير الكوتشنج، وايضا حتى لو يعني واشارت الى تعريف الاتحاد للكوتشنج، وهو تحفيز تبكير وتقديم الدعم للمستفيد بحيث أن يتوصل هو بنفسه إلى الحلول. وأيضا أضافت أنه حتى لو الاتفاقية لم تحتوي على جانب معين ممكن أن يكون في اتفاق مع المستفيد. شكرا.
Thank you so much. And with that, we nearly come to the end. And Haitham, I can't let you go without asking you one of the very important questions that is facing us. And I've, many people have come back to me, is regarding ethics and data management. So can we clarify the country's data protection? Does it take precedence over the GDPR or the American data protection? How does it work?
بخصوص الأخلاقيات وإدارة البيانات هيثم، هل ممكن أن نوضح أن قوانين حماية البيانات المحلية تأخذ الأسبقية في التطبيق على التشريعات العامة لحماية البيانات للاتحاد الأوروبي أو قواعد حماية البيانات الأمريكية كما تم اقتباسه من أنظمة الاتحاد؟
Shukran. Thank you so much, Ashu, and thank you, Fuad, for the question. I would like to share with you something that we always talk about in ICF, which is ICF members should be always cognizant of and follow the privacy data protection laws in their countries. So priority goes to their countries, and these laws differ from one country to another. While not a global policy, ICF adopted the General Data Protection Regulation compliance as it is more than covers many countries around the world. So we have adopted the GDPR because it is most prevailing in most of the countries of the world. However, if the local country has their own set of rules and regulations that relate to data management and ethics of how to manage personal data of their clients or of their members, that those should be applied. Our adoption of the GDPR, because it was actually the second level of the Canadian anti-spam law, and then there was the GDPR. So if, for example, a country like Bahrain has their own local laws of the General Data Protection Regulation or something equivalent, then the local laws will be binding because the agreements, the coaching agreements are based in the country of Bahrain. You could have your own local data protection and reference to the GDPR, which ICF uses as their global policy regarding data protection for their members. فؤاد، أعمل الترجمة عنك ولا أترجم حضرتك؟
أنت ما شاء الله عليك.
يا سيدي الكريم، قانون اللي اعتمده الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج اللي هو الجي دي بي آر هو أكثر قانون متداول في معظم دول العالم. يعني قد نقول إنه هو قانون عالمي ودولي يعنى بكيفية الحفاظ على السرية وعلى المعلومات الشخصية الخاصة بالأفراد أو الجماعات. ولكن هذا لا ينفي أبداً العمل بالقوانين المحلية الخاصة بكل دولة إن وجدت حسب الإطار العام لكل دولة على حدة. فبإمكان أي ممارس للكوتشنج يعمل ريفرنس للقوانين المحلية ويربط القوانين المحلية بالقانون الدولي. ولكن احنا لا نفرض قانون اللي اعتمده الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج الجي دي بي آر هو القانون الوحيد. هناك قوانين في أوروبا وشرق آسيا وجنوب أمريكا وحتى في أمريكا الشمالية توازي الجي دي بي آر اللي اعتمده الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج. فالنصيحة النهائية إن وجدت قوانين محلية في كل دولة على حدة يجب الأخذ بها وينصح الأخذ بها بالإضافة مع تدعيمها لقانون الجي دي بي آر اللي اعتمده الاتحاد الدولي للكوتشنج. وشكرا. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. I'd like to open now the floor to anyone who has a question to our great panel. And in the meantime, we'll be putting in the evaluation link. Please put in, fill in so that we can improve. Give us questions you want for the next time, and we can send you the certificate for the CCEU. So I'll open the forum for anyone who has any questions. Or did we answer all of them during the panel? So while we're waiting for the questions, Haitham, what would you say about this whole session that we had? Any takeaways?
You're asking me, Ashu?
Yes.
Well, I must raise my hat for the panelists who have come with diversity of schools of thought about coaching, about their own experiences, telling their stories. This enriches the participation so that you would know coaching is not a fixed mold. It's a dynamic modality that can be actually customized for each client, for each region, for each coach, depending on their cultural backgrounds, their mindsets, and their qualification. Aside from what ICF does state, the richness which Farah, Dr. Salman, Ghaya, Iman, Noura, and Lena have brought in, I believe it's also cases from the ground, cases being chapter leaders who were challenged with such cases in their community. And that's the beauty and the splendor which ICF Bahrain chapter has done by organizing this diverse webinar where it listens from coaches, actual cases from Saudi, from Doha, from Bahrain, from Kuwait, from Oman, from other countries. So that is what is expected. That is what I would hope to see each and every chapter in the Middle East and North Africa region would do. Great job. I learned a lot. I hope that after this, I would go back with some golden nuggets and share back with ICF, this is what happened. Are there any gaps in our system that we can improve so that challenges are less and you are having better resources to serve you all? Great webinar, fantastic, fabulous leaders, and I thank you all panelists for being with us and for other attendees from different parts of the Middle East and GCC region. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, and I second that. Thank you for my panelists. They were so cooperative throughout the whole time. So we couldn't have pulled it off without your support. And thank you so much. And if everybody's okay, can we take one group picture of the panelists so that we can, try and put it out on our website? Yeah, Khadija, we'll say